Hey guys, what's going on? It's King Clutch here, and today guys, we're back on the NBA 2K20. I hope you guys are all having an amazing day and everything is going well for you guys. Today what we're going to be doing in this video is I'm going to be showing you guys how to build Steph Curry here in NBA 2K20. Now I just want to throw out this quick disclaimer that I understand when I'm making these builds, it is impossible to make builds that are 100% accurate to some of these NBA superstars. It's just impossible because then everyone would have builds like it was in 2K15 where everyone would have 7-foot centers being able to shoot from everywhere and do everything. I completely understand that. I just wanted to clarify that, and I get that before we go into this build. Now, obviously, guys, with a Steph Curry build, the pie chart is a huge thing, and I feel like there are two pie charts that you have an option between when you're trying to create a player that is similar to Steph. You're either going to want to do the shooting and playmaking pie chart here, which is overall is a very good pie chart. It'll give you help. It'll help to your playmaking badge total, and you'll also have quite a few shooting badges. But I feel like for a Steph build, shooting is more apparent, and shooting is the thing that you need to focus on. We're going to go with this pure shooting pie chart, and this way when we hit a 99 overall with this build, you'll be able to have 99 shooting stats for many. And then for the physical profile, I feel like for this build, it's pretty apparent which one you would choose, and I just want to say this for you guys. So when you're building any player, if I feel like when you're building more of a slasher type build or an athletic type player, a player that you want to be able to finish at the rim, you'd want to go with this agility and vertical pie chart split in half, because you're going to be jumping a lot more with that build. You're going to be dunking. You're going to be trying to be a better defensive player than when you are with this build. This build is more about scoring and offense. For this build, it's pretty apparent we're going to go with the pure speed pie chart, the pure agility pie chart, to give ourselves the quickest player we possibly can. Now, I know 83 speed is slow for a Steph Curry type build, but that's pretty much the max you can get by having him at a decent height. Now, for the attributes, I feel like with every build you make, there are some attributes that are pretty apparent no matter what. And those are these three here, obviously. And most of the time, you're going to upgrade your shooting stats on every build, especially a shooting build. You want that. You want to get the most amount of badges total. Now, real quick, guys, I just want to give you guys another tip when you're building your players. Mess around with the attribute points. Don't always just max something out, because as you guys can see here, we have 30 shooting badges right now. At a 94 post fade, we're going to be able to take this post fade down to an 86 and still get our 30th shooting badge, and then have 8 points to apply anywhere else on our player. So we're going to obviously upgrade our pass accuracy and our ball handle to give us that there. And for a guard build, you're going to want perimeter D, you're going to want lateral quickness, and you're going to want to be able to steal the ball. Pretty apparent attributes for any type of guard build in 2K20. Now, one thing I've noticed when making all these builds here in 2K is, for some reason this year, when you upgrade defensive rebounding, you get a bunch of badges for defense. That way, that'll give us 6 more defensive badges to give us a total of 7, so that should help us not be as much of a defensive liability. One thing here, I have 11 points left. Now, I want to make the most use out of these 11 points as I possibly can. So what I'm going to do, I could just throw all these into post moves, give myself a 12th playmaking badge, but that's not what I'm going to do. I'm going to put this post move up until I get that 12th badge. We're going to put that up to 32, and we're going to leave it. We're not going to touch it. Now, what I can do with these other 8 points is I can apply these to either standing dunk or post hook and see if I can get another finishing badge, which I can, which is great. So what we're going to do, you can mess around with this and maybe see if you can get a third. You probably won't be able to. There's not enough points there. But we're just going to throw these into standing dunk, because I am not going to be shooting any post hooks with this build. So, guys, this is what we got so far. We got 2 finishing badges, 30 shooting, 12 playmaking, and 7 defensive. I feel like overall, that's really good for this build. It's pretty well rounded. Obviously, finishing is your worst category, but you're probably not going to be doing much of that anyway. Then for the body shape, I feel like this makes a difference almost for defensive and pushing. I'm not going to do slight just because I don't like it personally. I'm just going to go with divine. That's how I like all of my players. I just feel like, I don't even know. In 2K, didn't confirm if it makes a difference. I don't know. It's more preference. I'm just going to go with define. It doesn't really matter. They'll be able to shoot the same regardless. Now for a height, what you could do, Steph is 6'3". I'm going to go with 6'3". I'm going to tell you that right now. But you could do 6'2" if you'd like. And personally, a big thing for me going 6'3" is I like having taller players. I like having my players be 6'3" or 6'4" or higher. That's just my opinion. I don't like small players. Some people do. I haven't really played with anything shorter than 6 foot. I could maybe do that for a video just for fun if you guys would like. But what we're going to do is go with 6'3". If you want, you could go with the 6'2" to give yourself your boost to your speed and your vertical. You lose a little bit in your strength, but you would also gain some in ball handle. We're just going to go with 6'3" for our height for this build. Now, for the weight, you obviously wouldn't max it. I know some people would contemplate minimizing it, but I wouldn't do that just because it would make you a pretty big defensive liability. You would get pushed around a lot. So what we're going to do is, leaving it in the middle is a very good option, but what we're going to do is take it down a little bit to see if we can give ourselves some boost somewhere else. So what I was doing, if you toggle with this a little bit, you should usually find like a sweet spot of 4 to 5 pounds where there's a boost in some categories and no negatives. So what we're going to do is knock this down to 188 pounds, so that way we get a +1 to our lateral quickness as well as our acceleration. So if we go 189, we don't get the excel, but if we go one more, we lose a strength. So we're just going to go with 188 pounds, that way it is a positive instead of a negative. Now for the wingspan, you could max it, which I wouldn't do. You could minimize it. In previous 2Ks, minimizing your wingspan would help with your shooting stats, but in this case, it doesn't, because if you get this build to a 99, you'll have 99 shooting stats, unless you want to have that better ball handle. That better ball handle, if that 3+ ball handle means that much to you, go ahead. But I would not suggest doing that. What you could do is leave it in the middle. That is a good option. Or you could just knock it down to 1 to give you 78.6, and then that's a +1 to your ball handle. You don't lose anything except about 0.9 of an inch on your total overall wingspan. Now, one quick thing I also want to say is I understand when you build these players, like the player likeness, it's just based off the height and the wingspan. I understand that. Just so you guys know, if you guys didn't, that is usually what the player likeness is based off. I'm just going to go with 79.5. I kind of liked having more balanced players, but if you want, 78.6 is also a great option. That one works well if you'd like that, but really to me it doesn't make much of a difference, but this one is also a very good choice, but we're going to go with 79.5. Now here, guys, for the Takeover, this is pretty apparent for stuff. You can go with either of these. Really, if you want to do more like runners and stuff, I would maybe do shot creating, but I would suggest picking spot-up shooter. I feel like that is the best overall one for this type of build, so we're going to go with that, guys. Then, guys, for our build type here, we're going to get a sharpshooting facilitator, similar to Trae Young and Steph Curry. I feel like this is a pretty good representation of Steph, guys, and I'm going to show you guys how I would apply these badge points here on this player. So we're going to bump him up to a 99, and I'm going to show you guys where I would throw these badge points. So, for the finishing badges, there's multiple ways you could do this. What I would suggest is I would put Giant Slayer on. You're going to be shooting layups a lot with this build. You're going to want it. I feel like that's better. That way you might have a better chance of finishing some of your layups. And then I'm also going to apply fancy footwork, because with this build, your finishing stats aren't very high, and being a little bit smaller, you might have trouble finishing. But this way, with how hop steps are broken and spins are broken, you should be able to finish pretty consistently with this. Now, if you'd like, what I would also possibly try is putting this on consistent finisher to help with your layups. Since you're probably not going to be dunking very often, you could try that as well. But we're going to go with Giant Slayer and Fancy Footwork, both on bronze. Now, for the defensive badges, these are pretty easy. I feel like there's a few things you want to do with these. Intimidator, I would put on gold. Clamps, I would put on silver. I would put Pick Dodger on bronze. I feel like you don't need it any higher than that, but you're going to be getting screened a lot with this build, most likely, depending on who you're playing against. So I would suggest running with Pick Dodger. I don't think you need it any higher than silver, but I would put it on bronze for this build. Now for this last one, there's two things I would suggest. Either Trapper or Pickpocket. I'm going to go with Pickpocket on bronze. Some people feel Pickpocket doesn't work. I feel like having it on bronze, it'll do something. From what I've played with it, it at least helps. You could put it on there, but if you feel like that isn't working for you, I would suggest trying Trapper. Trapper definitely helps. And Trapper and Pickpocket, if you have them both on like a defensive build, they work great. But we're just going to go with Pickpocket for this build. But Trapper would definitely help you be more of an off-ball pest than it would without it. So we're going to go with Pickpocket there to maybe help get ourselves some steals. Now, the playmaking badges are the only kind of crappy part about this build is for a Steph build, more playmaking badges would be great. But that is just not possible with this build. You don't get any more. So what I would do for these is I would put Handles for Days on gold, Quick First Step on gold, Space Creator on gold. That way we have 3 left. Now, if I were to have more defense or playmaking badges, I would probably throw some on Bailout and Dimer for this build, but we don't. And probably Floor General too, but we don't have it for this build. So what I'm going to do, I would say you want Stop and Go. I would say you would want Tight Handles and Unpluckable if you'd like. Some people feel Unpluckable doesn't work. That's just an opinion. I like having it on at least silver on other builds where I have extra playmaking badges, but for this I don't. So this is what we have for this, and then we have 1 badge left. Now, I would probably put this on Dimer, to be honest. Depending on who you play with, if you have somebody else as a higher Dimer, you wouldn't do that. You could put it on Bailout too. If you want to do a lot of layups into passes, you could do that. If you're playing with other shooters on your team, go ahead. I'm going to go with Dimer. Unpluckable and Bailout I feel like are other good options. And then Ankle Breaker just won't work because we don't have the playmaking takeover. We really won't be able to drop anyone. Stumble a little bit if you add Space Creator and Ankle Breaker. But truthfully, I really don't like it, to be honest. I just feel like it's very inconsistent, and I'd rather have my badge points on things I feel like work. So that's what we're going to rock with for our playmaking badges, guys. Now for our shooting badges. There's multiple ways you could do this, but there's some that I feel like you'd have no matter how you play. I'd want Range Extender on Hall of Fame, Quick Draw on Silver, Deadeye on Hall of Fame. I would also put Green Machine on Hall of Fame. I would put Hot Zone Hunter on at least Silver. I would put Difficult Shots on at least Gold. Depending, obviously, you wouldn't have Difficult Shots if you're not going to shoot like fadeaway twos and runners. I would have that, though, no matter what. I would put Catch and Shoot on Silver. I would put Corner Specialist on Silver. Now you have 7 left. If you like to play with screens and you don't run as much ISO, I would put Slippery Off Ball on Silver. I would put Volume Shooter on. You're going to be shooting a lot with this build. I feel like it's something you'd like to have. Now, if you play more ISO, you're not going to have Slippery Off Ball. What I would probably do then is put Difficult Shots up to Hall of Fame along with Hot Zone Hunter up to Hall of Fame. And then maybe Clutch Shooter if you do like to play with, if you like playing on the rec and, you know, you're playing a lot of rec and shooting the last shots of the game, you might want that. But I'm just going to throw this on Corner Specialist and work with this. This is what I would do for these shooting badges. Now, depending on how you play, like, you're going to probably want Slippery Off Ball. If you run off screens, you'd want Slippery Off Ball. But if you play more ISO, I don't think you need it. This is what we have for these shooting badges here on the Steph Curry build, guys. I hope you guys did enjoy this video. And if you guys have any other NBA players you'd like me to try to create here in 2K20, just put them down in the comments below. I can definitely do that, guys. I really do love enjoying these build videos, and I hope you guys are enjoying them as well. Anyways, guys, it's been King Clutch here. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Anyways, guys, have a great rest of your day, and peace out, guys. Thanks.